Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
I am William Wallace, a knight and a guardian of Scotland who fought with everything I had for the independence and freedom of my homeland.
When and where were you born?
I was born around the year 1270. There is still a bit of a debate about the exact spot, but I was raised in the southwest of Scotland, likely near Elderslie in Renfrewshire, or Ellerslie in Ayrshire.
What was your given name at birth?
I was named William, son of Alan Wallace.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Our family name itself carries our history. Wallace originally meant Welsh-speaking. My ancestors were vassals who followed the high stewards of Scotland north from the Welsh marches generations before I was ever born.
What was your hometown like growing up?
The lands of the southwest were green, lush, and filled with elder trees. It was a countryside of rolling fields and quiet estates where our family held our land.
What was your family life like?
I was born into the lesser nobility, the gentry of Scotland. My father, Alan, was a crown tenant, and I grew up with two brothers, Malcolm and John. Because I was a younger son, I wasn't destined to inherit the family titles or estates, so my path was shaped a bit differently.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a large, powerful lad, growing quicker and taller than many around me. I spent a good deal of my youth learning the martial arts of our time, training heavily in horsemanship and swordsmanship alongside my brothers, while also receiving an education under the supervision of my uncle, who was a priest.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
Growing up during the peaceful reign of King Alexander III, before the dark times fell upon us, I imagined a comfortable, quiet life as a nobleman, or perhaps serving the church or the realm through law and faith, as my education had prepared me for.
What was your first job?
My first true calling, though it was less of a job and more of a grim necessity, was that of an outlaw. When lawlessness took over our lands and the English crown began to tighten its grip, I had to live on the run, moving constantly through the forests and hills to avoid capture.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
In May of 1297, I made the choice to strike back directly against the English authorities by slaying William de Heselrigge, the High Sheriff of Lanark. At the moment, it was an act of fierce personal justice and rebellion, but it ignited a firestorm that unified the resistance and altered the entire course of my life.
What was your biggest break?
That would undoubtedly be the Battle of Stirling Bridge in September of 1297. Alongside Sir Andrew Murray, we led a combined force of Scots against a massive, heavily armored English army. We used the narrow bridge to our advantage, cutting them down as they crossed, and achieved a stunning, impossible victory that proved we could stand against the might of Edward I.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Keeping a ragtag band of hidden rebels fed, armed, and disciplined while operating in secret was an immense struggle. We were constantly outnumbered, out-armored, and forced to rely entirely on guerrilla tactics and the cover of the Scottish wilds.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. Even after the devastating defeat at the Battle of Falkirk in 1298, where our army was crushed and I lost one of my closest, most loyal friends, Sir John de Graham, I chose to resign as Guardian of Scotland so the nobles could unite, but I never stopped fighting for our freedom.
What was your life like before fame?
It was a peaceful, comfortable existence of a lesser nobleman's son, full of hunting, studying, and enjoying the relative quiet of a sovereign Scotland before the succession crisis tore our peace apart.
How did relationships change after success?
Success brought immense responsibility, but also deep division. While the common folk and loyal knights stood fiercely by me, the high-ranking Scottish nobles were often fickle, jealous of a man from the lesser gentry commanding armies, and constantly shifting their allegiances to protect their own lands.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
It meant I was a marked man for the rest of my days. King Edward I was willing to grant clemency to many other rebels who submitted to him, but he completely exempted me from any mercy. I could never truly rest or let my guard down.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
Many stories later painted me as a simple, uneducated commoner who rose from nothing, or as a wild giant of a man. In truth, I was educated, understood the politics and diplomacy of the era, and even traveled abroad to France to plead for our cause.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My family and my loyal companion in arms, Sir Andrew Murray. He shared the heavy burden of leadership with me during our greatest triumphs, and his tactical mind and shared passion for a free Scotland shaped everything we achieved at Stirling Bridge.
What was life like in your final years?
They were years of shadows and constant movement. After returning from my diplomatic efforts in Europe, I returned to the Scottish wilds, engaging in minor skirmishes and living the hard, exhausting life of a fugitive, always looking over my shoulder.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
Right up until the end, I was working to keep the embers of the Scottish resistance alive, refusing to swear fealty to the English crown, and gathering whatever men and resources I could to harass the occupying forces.
When and where and how did you pass away, and how old were you?
I passed away on August 23, 1305 in London at Smithfield, at around 35 years of age. I was captured near Glasgow after being betrayed by a Scottish nobleman, John Menteith. I was taken to London, subjected to a show trial where I argued I could never be a traitor to a king I never served, and then suffered the brutal execution of being hanged, drawn, and quartered.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
My personal seal, which was used on official letters, actually featured a bow and arrow, suggesting that before I became famous for wielding a massive sword, I may have had significant training and experience as an archer.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Later chroniclers claimed that I was a massive giant, standing a full 7 feet tall. While I was certainly a large and powerful man by the standards of my day, the old tales definitely grew taller with every passing century.
What was your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
After our victory at Stirling Bridge, we had to send an official letter to the traders of Lubeck and Hamburg to let them know Scotland's ports were open for business again. Seeing a group of rough, battle-hardened warriors trying to act like proper, polite international merchants and writing formal diplomatic trade letters was quite a sight.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Stand firmly by your principles, even when the odds against you seem insurmountable and those around you begin to falter. True success isn't measured by the wealth or titles you accumulate, but by the dedication you show to the people and the cause you love.
Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
Only that history is often written by those who hold the pens of the powerful, but the true heart of a nation lives in the spirit of its people. Keep digging for the truth of the past, and thank you, Calvin, for allowing me to share my side of the journey today.
That was an incredible look into your journey. Thank you so much for joining us and bringing that history to life. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.